It was a bad day, a terrible day. At least that's what it seemed like to Captain Christian Haldana. She was a little mug-fracking upset that she was sent to Fort Mugclaw, which wasn't really a fort. It was more like a haphazard pirate enclave on a desolate, dead desert world that had the terrible fate of suffering an ancient nuclear apocalypse. She was sent there to find a bounty and bring him back to the New Earth Union. But not a huge bounty, a little bounty. She was a captain. She didn't like going to pirate enclaves on a good day, especially for small bounties. But today wasn't even good. There was another storm of acid rain throughout the area, and Fort Mugclaw smelled like a den of wet mugrat. It was vile, but she tried to push these disgusting smells out of her nostrils and think about the task at hand, the bounty on a local mercenary. She tried not to breathe and looked at her holopad one more time that was connected to her headset to remind her who she was looking for. She looked at the holographic display that was only showing on her heads-up display and looked at the face of the mercenary's criminal profile. It was a rugged face of chiseled and scarred dimensions, but looked uncannily nonchalant in his expression. She looked at the name, Xanadu Grim. It seemed like a silly name, but I guess people had thought her name was silly too. She pushed a holographic button for more information on the bounty. The AI system in her armor spoke to her in a somewhat computerized robotic voice directly into her headset.
Captain Haldana, hoping you're having a fine day. The bounty you're looking for was last reported in this area just yesterday by local informants. He should still be here. We should probably check the local space docks. His ship the Mugbane might still be there, but use extreme caution. His crew might number in the hundreds. I know you might think you can take them all on at once, but please don't try. I'd like to get back in one piece. If you die, I die. So be careful, for me, will you, please?
She gave her AI a response while smiling somewhat. At least the AI had a little sense of humor.
Yeah, mug fraking, yeah. I'll get you back alive. Just chill your overworked quantum worry butt off, will you please? Dear mug fraking lord, I have to deal with pirate scum and a whining little AI.
A group of nearby pirates overheard her say pirate scum and jerked their heads to look at her. The group pulled their weapons out, laser rifles off of their backs, dark matter pistols from multiple holsters, energy sabers, etc. As they took their weapons out, they came over to her, and their leader addressed her.
I mug-fraking heard you call us scum. Am I right, you mug-fraking little off-worlder?
Christian responded as she tried to walk away, not wanting unnecessary attention and conflict.
You heard wrong. It's just a mug-fraking misunderstanding. There's no need for anyone to die.
A few pirates blocked her from leaving, and the lead pirate gave her a response.
I didn't mug-fraking hear wrong, you mug-fraking little mug-rat. You're a mug-brain do-gooder, I can tell. You're no pirate or mercenary, and we don't like do-gooders at Fort Mugclaw. You know what we do with mug-kissing do-gooders. We slice them up and feed them to the friendly and hungry local wildlife. But not before we have a little fun with them first. We always want to have fun with the mug-fraking do-gooders who come to Fort Mugclaw, right, boys?
The other pirates, who were all human men, laughed and started blocking Christian in all directions as they agreed with their leader, thinking that she was an easy target. She looked like one, dressed like a beggar with a long, dark, and dirty robe, but appearances can be deceiving. Under that seemingly beggar robe was state-of-the-art New Earth Union combat power armor. Activated the combat setting, and her helmet wrapped around her head, out from under her robe. The pirate somewhat stepped back, shocked by the battle armor coming from nowhere. She smiled underneath her helmet and said,
All right, boys, let's see what you've mug-fraking got.
They rushed her, and she pulled off her robe, revealing her armor. As she pulled her guns out, blasting a few closest to her, she bashed a few in the face, breaking their teeth and shattering their jaws, and kicked another in the groin. She slammed another through a nearby metal shack, and another she punched with a flurry of intensity. Only one remained, the pirate leader, who was now running away. She sent out a grappling hook from her right side arm margin, which attached to his leg and pulled him to her as he screamed in pain. She said one last thing before kicking him in the face and breaking his skull in multiple parts.
Just another mug-fracking day. At least it's picking up a little.
She pulled her robe closed again and deactivated combat mode and started her search again for her bounty. Christian Haldana picked up her robe and wiped the dust from it. It was covered in mucky dirt after her tussle with the pirates. She noticed some of the pirates' blood on her robe and didn't really like that. So she looked for a place to clean up, but didn't see anything nearby. So she asked her AI, which she called Mick.
Hey, Mick, I need you to try and find me someplace to clean up. Those mug-fracking pirates got their nasty blood all over me.
Her AI responded through her headset with a sarcasticness.
I'm so sorry, Captain Haldana. We can't have a representative of the New Earth Union military to be looking unsightly now, can we?
Very funny, Mick. Now find a place.
Scanning area now, Captain. It'll take me a moment.
Well, hurry up. I don't want to sit around all day.
Patience, Captain. Just have a little bit of patience.
She continued to walk through Fort Mugclaw as she waited for Mick to finish scanning for a hotel or wash house or someplace to clean up. Even a pub or bar would probably work. Most had cleaning stations and assistant robots to help in any way needed. As she walked through the haphazard and chaotic Fort Mugclaw, she couldn't help but notice the total lack of organization. It was a total madhouse of insanity and indecency. Pirates doing what pirates do, but worse. She wanted to help many people throughout the place that seemed like they were being abused, but she was on a mission to find the bounty and bring him to justice. She couldn't deviate from the mission. At least that's what she tried to tell herself over and over again in her mind.
Mission first. The mission needs to be my first priority. Stay focused on the mission. I must stay focused.
She was in Dominion territory. She couldn't be deviating from the mission. She was greatly outnumbered. If she tried to save everyone throughout the criminal hive, she would be discovered and the pirates and mercenaries would gang up against her. She couldn't fight off millions of pirates and thugs all by herself. She needed to focus on the one bounty if she was going to be successful. So she tried to ignore the screams and yelling for help, the thousands of slaves in cages along the avenues, and the sounds of torture and abuse. She couldn't save them today, but she told herself that she would help them one day. Maybe she could convince her commanders to send in a force to free the slaves. A quick hit and run to free the thousands and thousands of people forced to live in horrible conditions under the threat of death and torture. These pirates were the scum of the universe, and their way of life needed to be eradicated one way or another. She looked up at the acid rain as she thought about the suffering around her, that she couldn't stop. It was tearing her up inside. The thoughts of suffering swirled in her mind as she was tempted to help the people around her, but she controlled herself not to interfere. But she tapped on her pistol under her robe. She so wanted to shoot up the slave sellers and the pirate scum around her. She wanted to burn down all of Fort Mugclaw. Her thoughts of conflict were broken up by Mick speaking to her through her common scanning headset.
Captain, I finished scanning the area. There's a bar and hotel on the right side of the next block. It's called Nop's Place. It should have a sign that designates it so you won't be able to miss it.
Christian Haldana sighed, thinking again of the suffering around her, but responded to Mick, even though those feelings of anger were still swelling up inside of her.
Thank you, Mick. Let's go then. I need a break before we continue our hunt. I can't stay on these streets much longer. It's just too much to handle. I'm about to kill some of these mug-frackin' monsters.
As she started walking towards Nop's Place, Mick responded.
It's my pleasure, Captain. You definitely need some rest. My scanners show that you're nowhere near peak physical performance. You didn't get much rest on the way here. You should have rested on the flight here.
What, are you a doctor now? I don't need you to be giving me advice, Mick. Besides, you know I can't get to sleep on that mug-fraking ship. The ship they gave me is a piece of mug crap. You would think after all the successes I've had that they'd give me something just a little mug-fraking better.
Captain, they can't give you a state-of-the-art starship, you know that. If they did, you would be detected by every pirate from here to Mugbuktu. Using an old blockade runner is much better to stay under the galactic radar, especially of the Terranorian Dominion. The ship they gave you gives you the appearance of a common smuggler or mercenary. We don't want your cover to be blown.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying, Mick, it's mug-fracking, annoying, but whatever. I wouldn't expect you to understand. You're just a bunch of silly code and circuits. You don't have a mug-frakin' body. You don't understand the annoyance that a cluttered ship can have on the human body.
Captain, you hurt my feelings. We've known each other for a long time. I would think you'd be more polite by now.
Captain Haldana was getting a little annoyed by Mick and didn't want to continue talking. She didn't say anything else to her AI until they made it to Nop's place.